Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight, another one of our reaction and commentary hybrid installments of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course. We are now going to start the 10th one. Can you believe it? It's going to be the 10th one. We're here to talk about the 10th episode of the first season, already called The Bridge. God, has it been 10 weeks already? That's really hard to believe. Anyway, this episode was actually broadcast on ABC first on December 10th, 2013. It premiered to 6.11 million viewers. And actually, this was filmed from October 28th to November 7th, which is a reminder of how quickly they had to really shoot these things on broadcast TV. They only had from October the 28th to November 7th. That's, wow, really quick turnaround. This was directed by Holly Dale, and this was written by Shalisha Francis. And produced, obviously, by all of our regular producers, Jedmo and Jeffrey Bell. And this is also pretty seismic in that we are technically here with our recap of S.H.I.E.L.D. here, have arrived at our first finale of sorts. This was the very first ever mid-season finale. Of course, here, for those who have been watching already for all these many weeks here, full spoilers for any and all potential, honestly, spoilers of the show. This is the show really that talks about the show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for fans who really want to, keep the conversation alive, and that's what we've been doing. We've been having a blast here, and so here is the mid-season finale that we're going to talk about today. And yeah, here we are. This is the last episode of 2013, and it's interesting. I would say, I'm gonna put it there. I mean, I've never really, I guess when we talk about ranking the finales, we think of the true season finales of every season, so this one does not count. But if one were to include the mid-season finale, without coloring, how this is going to go, right? Like, I would say that this might be probably the weakest mid-season finale of the entire show. And that might make people think, well, this might be a pretty weak finale. Maybe it is in comparison to what the show can do. But when I tell you, one of the show's strengths throughout the rest of the run is its finales. I feel like it rarely ever, if at all, mind you, gave us a finale that was disappointing, So I feel like we can only go up from here. But, I mean, again, like what we've been saying so far with season one, it's just been, I would say, good episode after good episode. Some have been obviously far better than others. And I gotta say, David, I'm really curious before we actually get into some of the other stuff, including this episode. Do you, if you were forced to rank all 10 of the episodes that we've been doing so far, would you be able to do that? Would you even be interested in doing that? It's an interesting conversation because I feel like, well, we've been saying that for the most part we've enjoyed all of the episodes, and we've made clear which ones we've enjoyed far more than other ones. But it really would be interesting to see what we think is the best, what would be our favorites so far. I think for me, heading into this 10th episode here, I want to say like my two personal favorites would be the pilot, the first episode, and then also episode 6, Fids. Those would be my two going in that I'm like classic episodes. Like you can't beat them. They're really good and everything.
I think Fist. I can never say it. Whatever. Might be my favorite. That's the one with Gemma dying, right?
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the
so
one.
for
Yeah,
sure that would be my favorite because I think, like I mentioned too, like everyone's acting was just on point for sure. And then the hub, just because. Simmons is my favorite. No, Fitz. Sorry, is my favorite. So. Are
you still getting them confused?
Yeah. I didn't have to say your whole name. Like, wait, no, Simmons. Okay, yeah, that's how I recognize them.
I mean, because they go by one name basically in the first few episodes, Fitzsimmons. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. How about a least favorite? Which one sticks out as like the weakest of all of them? And again, I'm not asking you to remember titles. You just tell me like what happens in the episodes.
Yeah. No, I think it would probably be the whale, the one with the Asgardian. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? There was a comment we received in regards to some of the stuff we were saying, right, about the well. If you want to go ahead and start off with that. Do we have that comment?
Let's see. I don't know which one specifically you're talking about. I'll just look at them in order. So.
Okay, so let me just say here. We haven't done the comments from that reaction, correct?
Yeah, we haven't done them.
Okay, so but we did the one from before.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So we got two different comments here. One by Silva Surfa and one by Shield Vids. Okay. So the shorter one. Silva Surfer says, I don't think Ward's visions were BS. The staff brings rage to the person who holds it by bringing up the worst memories of that individual. May handled it better because she faces that daily with her memory of Bahrain. The staff wouldn't be powered by fake memories or a delusion, in my opinion. I'm going to counter that. Here's the thing. You have to understand that despite appearances here, we have to remember who Ward really is here. He's a psychopath, sociopath. The show literally says it several times over. He is a character that blames literally everybody else for his own problems, and honestly is deluded enough into thinking that the harm that he personally causes, even those that he claims to love, were somebody else's fault, when in reality it was his. So when I was saying that the stuff that we were seeing were bullshit, I wasn't saying that the staff wasn't doing its job. No, the staff was working fine. And the staff was evoking, what we were seeing were Grant's own interpretation of how those events went down, right? But that doesn't make them true. You have to understand that just because we're seeing his version of events, well, all of a sudden you're going to believe a freaking liar like him? Mm-hmm. Which it's been turned out to be proven time and time again. Now, my understanding of events, because I don't think the finality of the final word on whether or not who was the one that threw who down the well, I don't think that ever really gets a final word until literally the episode where he dies, or he's about to die, which would be, I think, Closure, which was the first part, or not the first part, it was the 9th episode of season 3. That's when Coulson kidnaps a secret brother. Not secret. We knew he had a different brother, but he kidnaps the other brother that we forgot even existed. So there's Grant, there's the older brother Christian, and then there's the younger brother Thomas. And in these visions, Grant was, claiming that Christian, the older brother, made Grant throw Thomas into the well. And then in season 2, if you remember, Grant escapes and he goes and kidnaps Christian. And before he kills Christian, he makes them do this confession where it's like, yes, I admitted I was jealous and I made you do it, right? And so it seemed like from season 2, okay, and you would think that perhaps Ward was telling the truth here. But then we get to season 3, and I think it was a little bit of a blink and you'll miss moment, but literally Coulson says to Thomas, because I think Thomas, what was it? Thomas says to Coulson about, knowing the family history, and I think Coulson says, yeah, when Grant threw you, Thomas, down the well, and that Grant wasn't the same since then. I hope I'm not mixing that up, because I want to say I very recently watched that episode. And I know it's really easy to mix up because we're dealing with a couple of sociopaths here. Because Grant you can't trust, and Christian you can't trust for very different reasons. The only one you can't trust is Thomas, and I think that final exchange with Coulson and with Thomas in season 3 has the final word on what exactly went down here with the well. The overall point for the purposes of this comment is, do I believe that Grant thinks his version is how things went down, which then caused him to feel shitty, obviously, because of the staff? Yes, I do. Me saying BS was not invalidating that plot point. It was me reminding all of us that his perspective is not to be trusted. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, he saying that Christian was the one that made him throw Thomas into the well, that's lies. That's not what ended up being true. So I hope I cleared that up a little bit here as best I could. However, there is another comment that is also, I think, adding some more commentary here from Shield Vids. I think you guys may be mistaken on the Ward Well situation. Everything we saw in the flashbacks vision were true. We don't see Christian throw Thomas in the well, but his response to Ward when he tried to help Thomas is real. Christian breakdown, okay, yes, in season 2, episode 8 would not make sense if he wasn't guilty of something. That's true, but the guy's a scumbag, and I'm sure he very clearly was feeling guilty over a whole bunch of crap. I mean, he literally admitted that he was jealous of the way that their mother didn't torture, those are Christian's words, the youngest brother of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he is the culprit here. Then this person says, Ward pushed Thomas, but Christian definitely had a hand. I'm going to repeat that. And I do excuse whatever voices you may hear. The people in this household are being rather aggravating and annoying right now. I do apologize for that. Just nonstop noises left and right at the worst possible moment. Ward pushed Thomas, but Christian definitely had a hand in the situation by telling Ward to do it. Ward listened, so it's his fault, but Christian was just as messed up. Thomas doesn't know if Christian made Ward do. All he knows is that Ward pushed him. Ward's defining trait is being a soldier and following orders, even if the actions are questionable. Why would he act on his own to push Thomas? Why would he try to set his own house on fire? Would be my response to that, is this guy's not okay. And I think this might be the genesis of that, where it just begins to become clear to everybody involved, this guy's not okay. Mm-hmm. And he starts doing this shit, and this is where it begins. I'm not sure applying logic is what's warranted in this situation. And I hope to Shield Vids, I'm not trying to be condescending to what you're saying here. I'm just trying to respond in real time to what I'm reading here and trying to understand exactly your point. He continues, she continues, or they. He was weak and listened to his older brother and then tried to convince himself it was not his fault for listening, and he put the blame on Christian. Okay, that I believed was the case for the longest time. But then I listened to the exchange that I just brought up with Coulson and Thomas in season 3, and it kind of seemed to negate completely. His brother said he had never had the courage to do that sort of thing himself, so if Ward had not listened, it would have not happened. Ultimately, I hope we're not losing the forest for the trees here. The details of this, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure how much it will change one way or the other. But I want to say, my version of at least what I'm saying is the most correct here. But I'll tell you what. For the next time that we sit down and do one of these, I will go back and watch that specific exchange, and I'll come back with direct quotes, and either I was right or I was wrong. Okay, is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Because I can't recall exactly what was the words from, because I've long since passed that particular installment, but it's fresh enough to where it made me like, wait, what? But at the same time, I feel like it kept changing from season to season. What exactly happened with the well? As is the case with the other brothers, Christian and Thomas. So I wanted to start off there first. Do you have anything to add on those comments, David?
No, I honestly don't remember the events of the well so much. I thought I had an idea, but then you kept reading the comments, and now I'm just confused. So
yeah,
maybe once we watch the episodes, maybe I'll see.
yeah. It was. I feel like I felt myself getting lost reading those comments too, and I'm like, okay. And that is not, by the way, to bemoan Shieldvids or Silver Surfer for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing it up. We want to make sure we have the details, as little as they may seem, as clear as possible. And again, when we come back, we will address them as the best as I possibly can. Another comment here from Silver Surfer. I was fine with May and Ward hooking up because they were both dealing with the effects of the staff. Okay. I didn't like Fitz or Sky much at this point, so I enjoyed the fling between May and Ward as it was just sex, as May puts it later. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a condescending way. I'm just being real with like I'm glad there were people that had enjoyment out of that. I would say for the most part, in real time, I was kind of indifferent toward it. I look back on it as one of those things that for me doesn't really work. But again, it's not that distracting where I'm like, oh, I hate this.
No, it's just when you rewatching it and rethinking about it, I'm just kind of like, why did that happen in the first place? It just kind of
why did it happen? What was going to be the end goal for that? And again, I think it helps that we understand that in these first few episodes, they were trying a lot of different things. Yeah. So I think with that kind of hindsight, we can then rationalize why that was even here to an extent. Silver Surfer, so glad you mentioned that emotional park ranger guy. He makes me laugh every time I watch him. I remember that. I'm sure that I'm 100% sure that was intended to be hilarious. I think to me that might be the best part of the whole episode was just the park ranger guy, because he was just so overly emotional. Like, who would do something like this? And I'm like, it's a tree.
Yeah.
And the Coulson's face in reaction to that's perfection. So I'm glad. You see, it's little stuff like that makes the S.H.I.E.L.D. world go round here. The humor especially, I think, is really potent. They have a couple of little things that they do that I'm like, I love. I really do vibe with the humor of the show. Silver Surfer, I really like your honesty about the show. It's refreshing as so many fans don't see any flaws or won't admit what they don't like. I really liked this episode, and it's probably my second favorite episode of the first 9 in regards to the well. Thank you so much for that comment. I will say it's interesting you've come across some S.H.I.E.L.D. fans who are, I guess the framing of that comment was that they're apologists, right? And they won't necessarily say what about the show they don't like. Although I will say this is my experience with most MCU fans, where it's like,
For sure.
right? Yeah, for most MCU fans, where they're just like they don't want to acknowledge the flaws, or admit that they don't like something. And in my experience, that I guess it's less so normal, ordinary people like you and I, but I think people that actually work for publications and are invited to these premieres for the purpose of like sending out a positive tweet, and then it is a positive tweet even if they don't fucking like it, and then it turns out later on it's revealed they didn't really like it at all. So when it comes to MCU fans, that's a very, very easy thing to spot, I grant you. However, my experience with hardcore S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, they're pretty fucking feisty and divisive on a lot of different things. And I think we've touched on a couple of different like riffs in the fan base. Stuff, usually I don't think season 1 isn't really something that too many of those hardcore fans fight about. A lot of the fights happen from seasons 5 and on. There are a lot of weird wars being waged over different things post season 5. So, but again, it just depends on what we've been exposed to. Silver Surfer continues. Greetings, fellow agents. I was also very excited about this episode. It was the following week after Thor: The Dark World was released. As a diehard Phase 1 through 3 MCU fan, it was really fun to dive right back into this universe. It was also set up that fantastic trilogy, in quotations, later of episode 16 / Winter Soldier / episode 17 that only fans of the show experienced. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, look, totally. Like we mentioned with the Well, it was cool to be an MCU fan that week and watch a movie with Thor, and then go back to TV next week, and then it would be loosely somewhat related to it, but it would exist in the same universe. That was enough for me. That was enough for me. I think that was a
honestly, for like this whole entire like MCU run, like you really didn't need to do much to like get us excited for all of these connections.
Well,
like
you and me apparently, but to the rest of the people, especially with some of the reviews we've been reading, and we know how it was, people were trying to burn them to the ground. Yeah, it was not good enough for them.
And it's not so much of this thing of like I just get excited about every single thing. It's just like, no, it's interesting when you try to put in so much. Like we mentioned before, I can't remember the episode name, but they mentioned Hawkeye and Black Widow, how they're like, oh, they always go into missions without an extraction plan. It's like, yeah, but they go in like knowing that, and they decide to do that. It's like that's a really neat detail.
No, for sure. And then another comment here, Silver Surfer again. I know I comment a lot. I'm going to stop you there. We don't care.
We don't care. We love comments.
We don't care. If you want to drop 100 comments, that might be a bit much, but even that I wouldn't care. If you want to drop 100 comments on this about any details you want, please feel free to. That's what this is here for. That's what we are here for. We love this interaction. We love this engagement. And I think literally you specifically, the comments that you're bringing up here, I'm enjoying them quite honestly. So please keep, I don't care.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, sorry we're not like responding in the chat or anything like that. It's just we're busy, especially right now. So but we try to do as much as we can on the videos at least.
So we do try and respond, and I'm hoping that you are watching, that we are responding, which is why we get these comments first. So they continue. Don't expect you to address all of them, but we will try. Just wanted to say that I liked Thor: The Dark World when it came out, and still do. I liked Thor: The Dark World so much as I think for certain scenes I enjoy it. I would say, look, is it the worst movie in the MCU? I don't think so. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah,
not anymore.
Not anymore.
I think, not even. I think I think there are a couple movies that I would put underneath the Dark World, if we're being honest.
For sure, and also like Avengers Endgame like made it kind of important. to watch, especially because especially rewatching that scene where his mother dies, it hits differently now after watching Endgame. So
yeah, for
it's
sure,
really cool.
Yeah, you can definitely see that Endgame elevated the material that would be here almost by default.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I think The Dark World is perfectly enjoyable. If people harp on it too much, and if you're a fan of this movie, it sounds like you are, just remember that in this era, anytime the fan vloggers and the critics could make themselves seem like they were being critical of Marvel, they would take that opportunity. So basically, easy kills in the water. So if you see a Dark World here or a Shield there, and they're already seeing some fans, turn on it, then so will they, and so they will propel those narratives to the fact that where we are right now. I do want to make it clear though. I lived that weekend. I remember everybody liking that movie. I remember even watching a 40+ minute review of AMC Movie Talk where they had a special review of the movie where they were filming literally outside of the AMC. They had set up their chairs and they were outside of the AMC, and you could see in the background people walking in and out. And they were just gushing about the movie, and it was it's a fun movie. I do feel though, there are elements of the movie that just simply don't work. Mm-hmm. That being said, a lot of the MCU films had elements in them that just didn't work, but they weren't being highlighted as much because the interest wasn't there amongst these people, because we had to keep the money printing machine rolling, and for all of our interests, right? Yeah. So that's, I think, ultimately what was going on there, and why does this one have the reputation? I guess to me, ultimately, people just wanted more out of the character of Thor, and I think this is also a troubled production. I want to say you had, what's her name? Patty Jenkins originally supposed to direct this film, and then something happened, and then she left. Then they brought in Alan Taylor, and Alan Taylor is not a film director. He's a TV director. Mm. Yes, he's directed episodes of Game of Thrones, and good for him, but a TV director does not make for a movie director. The differences are vast. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think, what was her name? Wolf Clark something. This director who did episodes of, I want to say, Daredevil or The Defenders for Netflix. She got her first big break, and I feel sorry for her because you only, I think, get that with some very unfortunate, venomous stuff attached to it. What I mean by that is, okay, yeah, she was known for directing superheroes content, right? So naturally, Sony thought, oh yeah, she can direct one of our movies, and it was Madam Web.
Did she write the movie?
No.
Okay, I haven't seen the movie.
No, but she did not write it. The people who wrote Morbius wrote Madam Web. Which, I mean, go figure, right? So again, it's like Dark World's not even, I think, in the conversation of worst ever when we consider movies like those. But as far as MCU is concerned, there've been plenty worse movies since then. Mm-hmm. Not even close at this point. Yeah, but I gotta say, I have my own personal issues with the Thor movies that are not necessarily very consistent. I remember really liking Ragnarok, as most people do. But when I rewatched it, when Love and Thunder came out, I was like, this was not really as good as I remember it being. And then Love and Thunder, I gotta say, people hate on that movie so much. I don't think it was worth the hate because there was genuine attempts in that film for character arcs and for themes. And that's something that most of the films in the MCU don't even fucking know what they are, much less even attempt to do so. So my feelings on the Thor movies have evolved so much where I can't even be sure anymore what to tell you.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just also weird too, because Taika Waititi, he does a really good job at telling, like, adding comedy into, like, very personal stories and, like, emotional moments and everything. Jojo Rabbit being, like, the biggest one.
Yes.
But I would admit, though, that in the Thor movies, I think he took it to, like, an 11 when it came to the jokes of, like, okay, tone it down a little bit. But there were still some emotional moments, though, that I really, really liked. Especially the moment where, right before
the goats still kill me, though.
The goats.
the goats still kill me. No, I don't have an issue with that critique whatsoever. I think that's perfectly fine. I think my main issue with it is, okay, what are the main problems with that last movie? The fact that they thought they could get away with filming on the volume. Yeah, the sets were terrible. It looked like it looked so cheap. For the effects were, wishy-washy. Yeah, those are my biggest issues with it. But people don't usually harp on that. They don't talk about those things. What they talk about is, oh, it's too funny, or no, you made it too jokey. It's not serious enough. Which is funny because you bitches were like, what were you saying about the Dark World here? Oh my god, it's too serious. Why can't we make it lighter? And then
people always switch up their, like, opinions and stuff. Like, there'll be a scene they're watching from, like, a show or movie where it's like an emotional moment between two people and they're like, oh my gosh, they're just talking, what are they doing? And then they go on with Thor.
There's no consistency
Love and Thunder,
to them. That's
why isn't there a serious moment here? Why do you have to make jokes about shows or something? It's like, make up your minds on, like, what do you want in this show. Like, it's okay if, like, you could say, like, oh, well, this, you can play on this movie and then you use another movie as an example of, like, how it's better. It's like, okay, that's fine, but, like, you're not really telling me more of why this scene is bad other than just, oh, why are they just talking, or it's like, why are they being serious, or why are they joking? It's like, can you explain exactly why this moment is bad?
Yeah. But people just want easy talking points, and they don't seem to actually want a serious conversation. So I'm going to leave it there because then we're going to be here all night. Yeah. Talking about Thor. And that's not what I want to talk about tonight. All right. So I think we're good with that. Did we have anything else that we needed to mention before we move on and actually watch this episode today? Okay.
So we did get 2 comments actually on our episode 2 reaction, OA4, and this is from Serenity Forever 89. I definitely prefer Zephyr 1. It's much cooler looking inside and outside ship, but also because I prefer the team's private quarters in the playground and then later on in the lighthouse. I wasn't a fan of the airplane bunks in the bus. Since edit, I put I'm so confused.
I put the in front of Z1 and let the out of the airplane. Okay, it's fine. Okay. So let me. It's okay. So first of all, Serenity, thank you so much for commenting here. And I'm happy somebody actually talked about that. Wow, I forgot I mentioned that comment. It's been a while already. So So of the various different bases of the show's history, we've got the bus and the Zephyr, the 2 flying bases. And then the main 2 bases for the show, for seasons 2 through 4, we have the playground. And then seasons 5 and 5 to 7, we have the lighthouse. I gotta say, I feel really bad for knocking on the Lighthouse because I think the Lighthouse was only really designed to be the base for what was supposed to be the final season. The Lighthouse was not really designed to be a base. It was designed to look, first of all, like a survivor bunker, which first was converted into like a space, and I think very easily so, a space station. I think it fit that look. And then when they came back into the past, or I guess into the present, I should say, it very much, there was no attempt to make it look any new. I guess when they were renewed for a 6th season, well, they already had that set. You're not going to be on the show much longer. You can't really build new sets. So I think they tried to dress it up a little bit nicer and then a little bit more homey in season 6. And I think it worked fine. But I think the Lighthouse had too much of the same look to it, where you can never really tell what floor you're on, what corner you're really in, and it really looked all the same, whereas the playground was just much more dynamic. You had the hangar, you had the lab, you had Coulson's office, the common room, the vault, the elevator, the bar, the secret bar entrance. It was a lot more elaborate and designed to be that way. And I think to compare those two is just, although the Lighthouse did have that cool entrance, the cool, the water opens, the little circle thing, and then they go into it. So it had that. It had a cool hangar there in that respect. But I think the Lighthouse was never really intended to be a long-term shield base. From a creative standpoint, they just kind of got stuck with it because they weren't expecting to get a season 6 and a season 7. And so there you go. Although I will say by season 7, really the main base is just Zephyr 1. Mm-hmm. So, which is why I love the mirroring of season 1 and 7, where really we don't have main bases. We're just mostly on a plane as our main base for the most part. Yeah. It's I enjoy all of them. It was just a matter of personal preference. But I do like as the official Shield plane, the look of it and how it's used in action. I do like Zephyr 1 the best, personally. But she also had a different comment.
Yes. She said, they released the first 5 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on DVD and Blu-ray here in Australia. I own them. I bought them as they were released. But yeah, still no season 6 or 7 on DVD and Blu-ray. And because the whole series is on D+, I doubt those will ever be released, sadly.
And I think you bring up a different component to all of this, is that I was talking about it in the context of the States where we reside in. Mm-hmm. We only got as far as season 2. However, other regions around the world, including Australia, went all the way to season 5. And Japan was the only region on the planet where they had season 6 and 7 released. Why Japan of all places? I don't know. I guess they liked it there enough. Maybe there was a market there for it, I guess. I mean, Japan's amazing, so hey. But like, it's strange because other regions, maybe they went as far as season 3 and then they stopped there. The point is, it's part of our lot to bear as Shield fans, that we were victims, I guess, to just really random and strange releases like this. Like, yeah. I mean, I own the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray because that's what was released here. But, like, that's it. Nothing else was released here. I mean, I could, on eBay, acquire the rest of the Blu-rays, but it would be quite a hefty sum. To import season 6 and 7 Blu-rays from Japan, I think would be in the ballpark of $200. I'm not sure I want to spend that money right now. So, but yeah, the releases of the show are quite erratic, to be safe, and have no sense in logic. But thank you very much for those comments. I appreciated them very much. Do we have any other ones, David?
Nope, that is it.
All right. Well,
very similar to the serum Dr. Erskine developed in the 40s for the
super soldiers.
So I wonder here. Obviously, we're connecting some dots here with this episode, with these previously ons. Raina's gonna come back this episode. Centipede comes back this episode. We're gonna find out soon that Mike Peterson comes back this episode. So it's like, hey, it's the mid-season finale. It is beginning to connect some of these plot lines together. I'm wondering how that is going to be reflected in some of the reactions we'll read after this episode concludes. Because don't say it's not doing anything, but I'm sure once we go there and read, some of these reactions it's going to be, you're still not doing enough. And it's just like, what do you want? You know, this show has a really long list of supporting players that are like fake out villains that you don't really realize are fake out villains until they just suddenly drop. So Mr. Poe is one of them. And I gotta say, I think they do a pretty good job of like doing fake out villains in the sense that they cast really good character actors and you're kind of convinced immediately, okay, you're the villain here. But then you realize, wait a minute, you're not the actual villain here. It was somebody else here. And they do that quite often throughout the long history of the show. Mm-hmm. And I think almost always to pretty good effect. But also, I can also understand that to some viewers, that might seem like overly simplistic or not very interesting. Is Mr. Poe as a character interesting? No, but he's not really a character. He's really just there as a plot device, if anything.
Had a soft spot for Truffaut movies.
He's either at charm school, according to these files. Agent Shane could be my mom.
Raina is a real character that we're going to actually explore further this season and in the next season. It's important to understand the difference of what is someone worth exploring and someone who's here to just be here until they're, killed off. But, I bring this up, David, because there are a lot of people who feel like the last couple of seasons had certain faces that the fans didn't care about, whether it be Nathaniel Malik or Cora or Ruby or General Hale or the both Cassiuses or the Russian watchdog.
I was kind of hoping to keep this private.
Agent May specializes in private.
And I'm like, okay, but like, if we look at the first few seasons, there are plenty of people who just kind of come and go. And I mean, do you honestly really care all that much for people like, Mr. Poe or Kara, Agent 33 in the next season, or even Ian Quinn? So it's like, there are a lot of people, especially villains, that are just kind of disposable throughout the history of the show. I think, though, what kind of I can understand can be a legitimate critique by the end of the show, the main villains, I think that's the thing. The supporting villains and the ones that were there to die were like kind of always whatever, and they were dealt with, but then the main villains would be really good and really interesting. But I want to say by the end of the show's run, we got into a situation where we kind of ran out of interesting villains, and we were stuck with Izel, Sybil, Nathaniel Malik, Cora, and need I say more?
So we were right. Chan's platelets solved their combustion problem. Now they can create super soldiers with no fear of explosion.
Maybe don't get so excited about it.
So, but I want to just be fair here. It's like, people want to say that by the end of the show, at least I think people think by the end of the show, they introduced so many faces that were like, I don't like you, and then they were like, why were you here? There are a lot of people. Bakshi is one of them, but Bakshi's more memorable because he's actually entertaining.
What team did HQ send for backup?
Not a team, a person.
Did I beat Captain America's time?
Not even close.
This episode will become the first one where they would attempt to do more with Mike Peterson being more of an actual character.
Put that bulldozer back where you found it. We need you to suit up.
I like the little comment of did I beat Captain America's time?
Of course,
because it's like, yeah, he's still the best super soldier. Like,
We agreed to protect her from the truth, so I told her you were looking into it. She may come to you.
I love how man, May's whole thing is hilarious. But like again, every time Coulson brings in individuals that are on the surface, unstable, enhanced, lethal, May's like, I'm not with you on this. And it happens so many times. It happens again in season 2 when Coulson recruits Kel, Sky's father, to help take down Jiaying. And May's like, well, you brought him. It happens again in season 4 where May's like, why is fucking Robbie Reyes here, especially after he just beat up the directors? So like, she's always on brand. Our lovely May here, right? Like when there's an enhanced person involved, she's gonna be like, why the fuck are you here?
Yeah. I mean, the last time we saw this guy, he was a raging homicidal maniac.
Guys, okay. In real life, don't let that happen to people. Stop them. If you see them coming, you literally, like Simmons and Fitz, you saw them walk up. Stop him before he finishes, or they get closer and they hear.
That's bygones. In water, under a distant bridge, far away.
I love how Sky is like, I don't care. Like, she's always ready to just like drop it.
Quit.
You do know we have equipment that can take measurements. No need to do it manually.
Fucking Fitz's face.
Oh my God.
He's looking at her.
Your gun. It somehow froze me. Right at the moment I was about to explode. Helped my body absorb the serum. Stabilize.
You know, they don't make it really over until the end of this season that Fitz crushes on her. But those subtle facial expressions, they were really telling us the whole time. Really.
A few. Some more worth it than others. One was...
He's turning the wheel way too much. He's just...
I am choosing to believe that car requires him to turn the wheel that much. Does it make any sense? No. Is it incredibly distracting? Yes. But it sure does make driving a car, that car, look like fun though. But yeah, that's a thing that happens, and people have noticed. Like, why is Coulson just driving the car like that? I know.
Thanks. I'm glad you're in on this with me. It means a lot.
Oh my God. Man, May, this episode is just like not giving any fucks left and right. She's just like, and what?
Working on this while I waited for you. I called because I found something about Poe.
Show me.
I don't know about you, but in my mind, she was probably like, I think she was like ready to just kind of like shut down the whole looking for her parents thing, but then she just went, fuck.
Yeah.
Centipede's making more soldiers. Maybe they want Poe to coordinate them, lead them.
His background's tactical strategy. He fits the bill.
That part never really is fully revealed. I'm not really sure what Poe does to offer Garrett here. Garrett is the clairvoyant, spoiler whatever. I'm not really sure why he's put in charge, because I don't really know what he brings to the table, honestly, really. I mean, I guess from our perspective, all he really needed was Reyna, but I guess he didn't really know. I don't know who maybe it was Poe that brought Reyna in the first place, but we don't really see him do much in the time that he's brought out, because I think he dies like the next episode, I want to say. So he's not much of a presence.
Oh, it almost looks homey.
I love how they continuously make this space like a makeshift room for guests, I guess you could say, and / prisoners.
It's got to be the best feeling. Son looking up to you, wants to grow up to be just like you.
You know, I only just now made this connection, David, but you know, Sky has always been very, because when we first meet Sky, when we first meet her in the show, she ends up meeting Mike.
Feels good.
I love how it fits them into just like in awe of their work here with this suit, which totally looks like a suit from X-Men. The X-Men 2000 movie is hilarious.
That's literally what I was thinking right now too.
right. So that's funny.
Thanks.
But
We've never been so proud.
You know, obviously, I know it's true. But obviously, Sky has always had a connection with Mike and with his son Ace from the very beginning, because you know that's where her whole adventure with S.H.I.E.L.D. started. But I think also what's kind of like not said out loud, and I think a little bit of what we're meant to infer is, remember, and it's not revealed to us in the moment, it's revealed to us episodes later, that she's, you know, doesn't know who her parents were, and she was spending her whole childhood trying to find them. And so she sees in Mike and in Ace the kind of love she always wanted her whole life and searched for her whole life. And so even right now when she was connecting with him and trying to and she was saying how about like how much Ace would look up to someone like Mike, I think she really that was coming from a real place there, where she like what she wasn't saying there is how much she always really wanted to feel that kind of love from a father.
Sir, you've got company.
Yeah, we do.
Which, ironically enough, she will, and that will be the parent she ends up connecting with the most when we see in season 2. And of course, I mean, Coulson really ends up being like the surrogate father for the whole show. So again, familial ties, big theme here on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, please, don't do it.
I'm curious if Coulson shot that soldier that just died with the blue thing. Would he be stable by now too? And had they kept the soldier alive?
They just did though. I think what happened is they did shoot them with icers, right?
Only that soldier, the one that just died.
Oh,
so
okay.
if he had escaped with the other soldiers, would he have been stable, and would they have like figured it out? And then Mike Peterson wouldn't have been taken. That's actually kind of interesting.
Poe's the strategist, Rain is the recruiter. Perhaps this clairvoyant's the money.
That makes sense. If I could see the future, I'd go straight to Las Vegas.
Technically, the money, I would say, is cybertech. Yeah. Which has not, I think, been... No, yeah. I think... Has cybertech been mentioned? Yeah. That's the company that Quinn owns, right? Ian Quinn?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the company that Ian Quinn owns. Wait, is it? I think it is. Or no, maybe not owns. That's not true. But Cybertech is a company that he will associate with as a response to serving Garrett. I think Cybertech we'll get into in a few episodes.
The last person who tried to learn these things got a knife for it.
So technically it would be Cybertech. I'm not sure how much Hydra personally is investing in it. I know that the whole thing is under Garrett's. It's like Garrett's mission.
But I did tell the clairvoyant about you.
Because I mean, you know, the different heads of Hydra, from what I understand, they have their own different thing. I mean, and Garrett, I don't think was ever officially a head of Hydra. He was just like, he really was trying to find a way to live. But he ended up finding a lot of the manpower with the promise of creating these super soldiers for Hydra, which is what this whole season plotline is. Daniel Whitehall is just looking for weapons of mass destruction. Gideon Malik is looking for the fucking... he wants to acquire all the pieces to bring back the Hydra God. So you have a whole bunch of people who are, just serving themselves, basically.
If you can't put aside your personal attachments, then you shouldn't be here.
And May is on one this episode. And she was about to tell her, but then she just stopped herself right there at the end about the truth.
You went above and beyond at that warehouse.
Right here, Coulson, really interesting scene here where he's taking a personal interest in Mike's life here and really is wondering why that he hasn't been to go see his son Ace. And something else that we should infer, because we don't really know until I think the next episode, that Coulson lost his father at a young age, and that was a defining moment for him, obviously. And I think that shaped a lot of who Coulson is. And so I think it makes total sense why Coulson here would be thinking of like a little boy like Ace and wondering why his father hasn't gone back to see him.
When I took this job, I made a choice. The same choice everyone else here made. This life over the other one. They want to trade Ace for his father. They've set a time and a place.
Bloody savages.
They want to experiment on him, determine how he still has his ability.
So we take him along?
We should at least have a hostage rescue unit in support of this.
They said they would murder my son.
And if things go south, I need you back here, taking point on the team.
So I gotta ask, David. And of course, as I ask, I fucking cough. When you watch this for the first time, again, this is why this show, I think, has always been good. It caught me by complete surprise that it was a setup, and that what they really wanted was Coulson. Like, they did a really good job of like covering it. Like, I didn't suspect at all. How about you?
I legit forgot.
Did I? Oh my god! Did you? Well, I guess I just spoiled you a few seconds ahead of the time. I'm sorry. Oh my god.
Dude, that's so funny. Oh my god. No, I was literally like, oh man. It's like, okay, because I know he does get taken at some point. Mike,
right?
He does get taken, and so I thought it was gonna be in this scene. And then he just mentioned it. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I do remember him being taken also. Okay, I guess this is what happens.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I mean, but you've seen it several times already. It's like, it's not really considered a spoiler. You just forgot.
Yeah.
It's something that happens. Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't the deal.
I'm so sorry. Why do they want you?
I don't know, but if you kill this woman, you'll never see your son again.
Okay, so my original question then. When you saw this for the first time, you didn't see it coming, did you?
No, I did not see it coming at all.
Okay. Which is really interesting because when Reyna actually does die, it's related to her throat no longer working. Do you remember what I mean there, or no?
No.
Remember she gets her throat cut by Jaing.
She does? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah. If I'm not clear on something, David, please tell me, okay? That way I can actually just see it out loud. But
let's finish this.
There should actually be a running tally of how many like throats cut there were on this show.
Mm-hmm.
There were quite a number of them.
Yeah. I mean, not throat cuts, but like the way people die. Because I know Sky's mom gets like choked out to death, didn't she? Or Daisy's mom.
Which Daisy's mom gets...
Yeah. it's her dad that kills her in the end.
Yeah.
So, but like he like literally like snaps her neck. Oh no, I think she just crushes her.
He snaps her back basically because he knows all of her sensitive pressure points because he put her back together. So he knows what to do to like basically make sure all the bones fall apart and then she's just dead. But then Jiaying dies a second time in season 7 when Nathaniel quakes her and he fucking snaps her neck.
Mike!
I totally bought Mike died there.
Yeah.
But like, come on. No one's going to buy that Coulson died there.
No.
Maybe they would think, but they didn't see much of anything.
Oh yeah, Mike, it's honestly like super sad because the reason why he went back there and everything, it just kind of for nothing. And then what happens later is fucking tragic too, but...
We want you to tell us about the day after you died.
And that's the episode.
It's intense.
Right?
Ending. I love it.
Yeah. One of the first of the show. So yeah, mid-season finale, cliffhanger. So bit of a mystery there to hold you over the holiday break if you're watching this in 2013. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the reactions. AV Club, of course. David Sims wrote this, who has been hating the show lately, and this I don't think will be an exception. He gave it a C-. The only thing duller than the static dialogue scenes in S.H.I.E.L.D., which make up most of the episode, are the action scenes. This is not a good situation for the show to be in, but here we are. Remember the set piece of the pilot with Mike Peterson about to explode in Union Station? That was tense and brilliant. That was as tense and brilliant as The Wages of Fear compared to the molasses slow nonsense on display in the bridge, which marked the triumphant return of Richards' character. I love J. August Richards. The show makes me miss his performance on Angel. Nothing actually gets me excited on S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore, but I was not averse to his return to the team one bit. The ensemble is gelling fine, I suppose, but they're just straight-laced company men. 2 chattering nerds and Sky, the one marginally conflicted character on the show. So why not bring back Peterson? He was definitionally a ticking time bomb in the pilot, after all, infected with dangerous extremist technology. Okay. So you say the fighting is mostly going to be concentrated in a warehouse filled with shipping crates and be totally, completely, utterly boring? Oh, good. Wouldn't want things to speed up in between the interminable dialogue. Sky is trying to figure out who her mom is and getting blown off by Coulson and May. Ward is making sure May realizes he still puts the job above the relationship, whatever that might be. Fitz and Simmons are twittering away at each other about nothing in particular. I just named all the characters in the show. Now, to be fair, there is a slightly more exciting climax, although it does not really involve action. There are logical reasons for what's happening on the show, but only sort of. Yeah, they're trying to protect Mike's kid or whatever, but it's still puzzlingly stupid move from a supposed crack team of expert agents. Also, these 6 idiots are the only ones who are being put on this mission. Centipede has a team of super soldiers. I get that we can't all call Iron Man, but we can't even have a couple of backup units? Jeez. By the end of the episode, it looks like Mike is dead, which is... Wait a minute. I'm going to stop it there. Is David Sims talking about the mission at the very end of the episode? Because they explicitly say why there aren't any more people.
Yeah, they made it very, very clear that it's just them. And I think it's fine if they're here.
I don't care either way. But the episode totally addresses that. Unless he's talking about like the mission in
I can
earlier on.
Yeah, I can understand the mission earlier on, where like they know that they're dealing with super soldiers, and they only send one super soldier that they have.
Right.
But I mean, the thing though is, this is a minor. Well, as of right now, it's a minor threat that they're dealing with. Again, what was the mission Captain America did in the Winter Soldier? It's like a literal ship got taken over that had information about S.H.I.E.L.D. that like really could uncover a whole bunch of stuff, and like that's what you put him on. This one is just like, there's someone experimenting with stuff, trying to make a super soldier. I mean, at this point, we all know too, like making your own super soldier, it's not going to be the same as making Captain America. So, so it's just kind of like whatever. So. I mean, it's obviously a threat and all that. Like, they're dealing with it, but it's not someone that an Avenger should be doing.
Yeah. He ends the review by saying, "This show is so boring, and it's not getting much less boring. Everything is completely done." I think he meant dumb. I don't know. He said everything is completely done. Maybe dumb, he meant to say. And Clark Gregg really is trying his best to keep his performance interesting, but there's nothing to hold an audience interest here. Nothing that I can see, at least. Maybe once we find out the mystery of Phil's resurrection, then things will get better. I live in hope, whatever. So again, they're not liking this show at all here at the AV Club. And the thing is, they keep these reviews going all the way to season 7, but look, I'll tell you something. David and the other guy, they don't last past, I think, this season. I think they end up getting other people who probably would enjoy the show, because they're not enjoying the show whatsoever at this point. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. And also, in terms of like whether or not an Avenger should be doing this mission or not, that's actually a problem going on with the movies right now, where literally in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, literally Wanda was threatening the entire multiverse. That is like, you get everyone together, not just one hero. Again, which is something that all the movies need to do. This is why we liked Ant-Man, the first one, just because like, it's not a big threat. There's no reason for any other Avenger to be in this mission. And we liked it because it was something small. It wasn't the world that's at stake here or something. And I know people complaining about that in Iron Man 3 when they were like, the president got kidnapped. How is Captain America not in this?
Okay. So now let's see what Eric Goldman thought in IGN. Going in, it was pretty widely touted that this episode would bring back several elements and characters from previous episodes, and also notably be the first actual two-parter of the series, complete with cliffhanger. That being the case, I was really hoping for it to really kick ass. This wasn't to be, though it did continue the show's overall recent pretty good run, while still keeping the show from kicking it into high gear in a way we all want it to. It was certainly nice to see Mike Peterson again, and I also like the suitably intriguing presence of the villainous Reyna. But The Bridge continued to hint at bigger, more concrete developments without actually giving us enough to really chew on. Okay, Centipede are upping their game, but who are they? Who runs them? What do they want? We still need something more tangible, beyond Reyna and the newly introduced Edison Poe, who was pretty dull overall. Hopefully it's the clairvoyant when we meet him or her. It is, and you're gonna love it. Right now, I'm assuming the clairvoyant is a title, but not what this mysterious character actually is. That was a correct prediction. Mm-hmm. Still, though, it's really strange how Coulson was so insistent that the psychics are a myth. That psychics are a myth, which isn't the first time one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. members have said this. Okay, they've never seen a psychic before. I should say they've never seen a psychic before. But these people know for a fact that men who've mutated into green monsters, multiple humanoid alien races, and dudes who can start fires with their minds do exist. So why are they so insistent that a psychic just isn't possible. Also, Coulson knows of a ghostwriter at this point. Not Robbie Reyes, probably Johnny Storm. So he's aware of a ghostwriter at this point before the show even, because he this is really quick line he teases to Daisy in season 4 where he was like, the first ghostwriter came back. Like, what? So, and of course Coulson already knows about the Darkhold, not literally in continuity, like when they were writing this, they knew they were working. I mean, like, as far as the continuity of the show, Coulson knows a lot of these things already. But so does that make it a fair critique? Why do they keep like knocking on like psychics not being a real thing? I don't know. Do I care? Not really. But if you have an issue with it, I guess. I also wish I was caring more about Sky's plight, but the character really has started to grate to the point where it felt more eye-rolling than sad when she locked herself in a room crying. Really, Eric? Really? Oh, no. On the other hand, Coulson and Mike had a really good scene, very well acted by Clark Gregg and Richards, as they discussed Mike's son and how the responsibility made it unlikely Mike was a good fit for S.H.I.E.L.D. It was also nice to hear Coulson's cellist girlfriend mentioned for the first time since the Avengers, and to hear a bit, not by name, more about her, though Coulson mentioning how the Avengers had to think he was dead has me wondering again, do they know he's alive now? They do not, Eric. They do not. He hasn't exactly been hiding, and he's been using his real name, even if it's S.H.I.E.L.D.'s missions. So certainly you'd think Captain America would know. No. Winter Soldier shows he doesn't know shit. I know it's unlikely that they get those actors on the show, but you could still have Coulson mention contacting Tony, Steve, or Pepper among those who he was close to, just to know that's occurred. That will never happen. Sorry to say. Maybe they should have. At some point. You know? I would say it gets the most ridiculous, this issue, when in season 4, or at the end of season 4, his face is among like the whole S.H.I.E.L.D. team's faces are on a list of most wanted. At that point, cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
But they never really address it. The May and Ward relationship continues to be a smart addition to the show, and the best inter-team dynamic so far. Ward trying to be flirty with May while sparring only for her to be her usual business-only self was great, as was her anger later that he'd taken a punch for her in the middle of the fight. Okay. Mike having actually made a deal to turn Coulson, not himself, over was a fun little twist at the end, even as it kept Mike a tragic and sympathetic character, given he was doing this to save his son's life, not for some nefarious reason. Coulson may be trying to convince Mike not to join S.H.I.E.L.D., but I keep hoping J. August Richards will join the series full time. Okay. Okay. So, pretty mixed. I know one was pretty negative, which it was always going to be negative. This one wasn't very positive, but it wasn't very negative. Here's the thing. I said that this was going to be easily the weakest mid-season season finale of the whole show, and it is. I think for me, what's fun about this episode is we have a returning cast member, but we're also for the first time actually seeing a lot of the threads that were previously thought to be like loosely in the background kind of being pulled together. We get the mention of what we suspect at this moment in time to be a future villain who is the top head, the clairvoyant here. And the team is finally following up on this threat that has eluded them. So, and it brings a lot of fun interplay. Bringing Mike back in was obviously elicited a bunch of really funny reactions from the team as he showed up. And we get some really good conversations. But at the end of the day here, I mean, there's really not much to this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of just like setting things up for what's to come in the next episode.
It's set up, but then it's also an episode of like, hey, look how far we've come in just these 10 episodes. Because him coming in, and him saying like, hey, I wasn't in the right headspace in that moment. I'm hoping to be better. And in a sense, everyone in that team has become better since that first episode. May opening up more, Sky becoming more of an agent and just letting go of the whole what was her
the rising tide.
Yeah, rising tide. Remember, like becoming less of that. Both Fitz and Simmons becoming more confident, I guess you can say, as agents, especially going out in the field. The Ward is the only one that's sort of the same in a sense in these 10 episodes. The one who hasn't really changed much, I guess I can say, because there's not much to him, and we're not supposed to know much about him.
Right, yeah.
So that's basically what this is. But it also it is also set up to like give us some information of like, okay, hey, we're going like moving this forward now. There's some more information, and it comes in naturally with Mike coming in, and he tells him straight up, it's like, that's Reina. She recruited me and everything. It's like, okay, so now we know she's a key to the whole. She's part of a key of the whole centipede thing. They know about the clairvoyant. We can move forward, but then now we just add the twist of the thing for sure moving forward. It's like it's a setup for the clairvoyant stuff, but they told us at the end, it's like, no, we're actually gonna move forward with the whole him being resurrected next. And then
we're gonna address it and we're gonna tie that into the villain also being interested in that, which means that we're gonna get some answers pretty soon. But I mean, we should say that with the conclusion of this episode, beginning with the next episode, we're gonna get in a pretty good rhythm here. Not that we haven't been in a good rhythm here, but I will say that beginning with episode 11, slowly but surely the stakes begin to be raised.
Yeah, for sure.
And we get into some pretty memorable episodes in just the next few.
Yeah.
So
and this is something that happens with every other long form show where at the beginning it's all kind of, I wouldn't say slow, but there's setup to a lot of
slowly
stuff.
Paced is fine to say.
Yeah.
But slow in the way that people mean it to be, I think they mean it in a different way.
And then I'll go back to Person of Interest, which I mentioned before. It's like a favorite show of mine. That one is just they're just showing you the dynamic of the team in the first couple episodes, like what they're capable of, or what their mission is. I guess you can say, like how important it is, and then they show you a threat that's like, oh wait, how are they gonna get away with this? Even with like the resources that they have, like how the fuck are they're gonna stop this guy and all that? It's like that's the setup of it, and then you keep moving forward from there. It's what every other show does.
Yeah. But again, good episode. Good, and I would say great, like tension and action. It was perfectly enjoyable. But just thinking back, it is one of those like episodes that's there to set the table for more interesting stuff that will come in the next few episodes. And there ain't nothing wrong with that.
For sure,
not at all. But yeah, I would say that if we're gonna have a conversation of like what are the best finales, of all of the finales that the show has had, for sure this is the weakest. That isn't to say that it's bad, because it's not even anywhere close to being so. But I would say it gets blown away by literally, if we're going to compare this to the mid-season finale of season 2, which is the episode where they're in Puerto Rico and Sky becomes an Inhuman for the first time, like, there's no comparison. Or the mid-season finale in 3 was when Maveth, they came back they rescued Fitz, they killed Ward, and they brought back the Inhuman Hive. In season 4, season 4 didn't have a mid-season, I don't think, because they split that into 3 parts. Season 5 was the last episode in the future, which was awesome. Season 6, would not have the mid-season finale, neither would 7, so because those were shorter seasons. But yeah, overall, yeah, those are a different caliber of episodes than where we're at right now. But yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and close it off right there. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Stay tuned here, obviously, every Friday for more of these installments, and we'll catch you back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.